Welcome, everybody. I'm Lyndon Thorpe. Thanks so much for joining me today. This is a Q&A, and I'll just turn my birds down. There we are. This is a Q&A on Lodestone, which is a product I've created to help people practice mindfulness. And it's recently been released, and I'd like to talk about it today. And it seems that we're streaming only on YouTube. For some reason, LinkedIn is not accepting this. So, oh, yeah. So let's YouTube for today. Probably my assistant, Natasha, will sort it out. Something's technically wrong there. Anyway, let's get on. And first of all, let me introduce you. Let me get rid of my Lodestone cover there. And let me introduce you to my guest. I'm going to add her to the stage now. Here she is.
Hello.
Good to see you, Maria. It really is.
Nice to see you.
Thank you so much. Let me just introduce Maria, who has become a really good friend on LinkedIn. She's an executive and life transition coach. We do very similar things, I think. I'm working with the body from the inside out, and there are very similar things going on, I think, with Maria. And over 50 years experience in HR, human resources. She specializes in supporting professionals as they navigate unexpected changes, whether related to career or performance or personal life. So wonderful. Yes, we're doing very similar things. Welcome. It's very lovely to have you here. I'm so glad you could make it.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks.
It's a pleasure.
Good, and thanks for taking the time, Maria. I know you must be very busy, especially on a Friday. Seems to be a busy day, but you made time, so I'm so grateful. Thank you. Now, we're expecting other visitors too, but I think there's some LinkedIn problem because I'm not streaming live to LinkedIn at the moment, only to YouTube. Oh, well, never mind. It's their loss. And we can post this link later as well on LinkedIn, so not to worry. Okay, Maria, what I want to do first is just give you a short presentation about Lodestone. Really, this Q&A is because this is a really new product. Believe through my market research, there's nothing quite like it on the market at the moment. And so I'm gradually educating people about how it works and how it's come about. So it's quite an interesting story. And so, yeah, if I may, let me give you a short presentation, and then we can chat about it, okay? So let me put my slides on the screen. There we are. And if my other guests arrive in the meantime, then I'll pop them on the stage too. By the way, I'm streaming through StreamYard, which is a wonderful platform if you want to be a broadcaster. It's great. Okay, so this week we're talking about compass number 2. Now, just to fill you in, there are 4 inner compasses. And the last 2 weeks we've been through, well, actually 3 of the main compasses. The main stream master compass is the vagus nerve. Now, 9 out of 10 people I talk to haven't got a clue what the vagus nerve is. So if you want to know more about that, we can give you the replay of that easily. The vagus nerve starts in the brain and it connects the whole body, really. And it gives amazing feedback to the brain. And many people have very low tone in their vagus nerve. because they're not using their bodies to listen. They use their ears, and that's a problem because that's very intellectual. We're taught to listen, hear, but in fact we have the capability of listening with the whole body, which Lodestone will show you how to do. So the vagus nerve is important. Last week we talked about the brain, the brainstem, and the pineal gland, which is here between the eyes. It's known as the third eye. Maybe if you're a yoga person, you know about that. So today we're looking at the heart and lungs. And the heart and lungs are really important because they help you to reclaim your inner authority. And the heart and lungs are really harnessed by the breath. Now, most people I talk to say, oh, breath. Oh, what's that? They're not aware, they're not conscious of their breath at all. And, I feel very strongly about this because really the breath is our most fabulous asset. And most people don't even recognize that. And it's only when you start to breathe consciously that you start to really initiate the resetting of all these inner compasses. And probably if you're not doing that, your inner compasses will not be facing true north. Your needles won't be quivering towards true north. So the breath is so key. And most of my Lodestone product is about breathing. And I'm going to show you a little bit more about it today. Let's just get a little bit bigger here. I'll go into the full page. There we are. Okay, so, just going back, yes, you can see that here's my logo for Lodestone. I'm Lyndon Thorpe, and I'm partnered with Zinzino, which is a remarkable platform for health first, putting health first. And if you haven't heard of Zinzino, then let me know because I need to tell you about it. It's superb. All right, let's move on a little bit. So, yeah, here's a little bit more information about these four compasses. And the breath is all about emotion. Now, we're hearing so much on LinkedIn, actually, about how people are not able to deal with their emotions, especially in the workplace. And this has to change. Just excuse me one. So sorry, we've got a chopping noise in the background. Dinner is being prepared. Sorry about that. Yeah, so emotions. We're hearing so much about EQ and ES and how, people are not getting acknowledgement, especially in the workplace, of their emotional state. So this is all to do with your heart and your lungs, not only for the workers, the employees in companies and organizations, but also for the trainers. I'm finding that many trainers and many coaches don't know much about how this works. And I'm giving a big kind of nudge to coaches and trainers to learn more about it. The body does not lie. The body is truth incarnate, really. The mind can do all sorts of strange things, coupled with the emotions and the past and trauma and all of that. But the body will not lie. And this is my baby, really. This is what I really think can transform not only people with problems, but also many teachers and coaches who are struggling with burnout and so on. Well, let's look a little bit more closely at this. Got here the lungs. You probably never imagined what the lungs look like, but this is a kind of living model, and it actually is a GIF, but it's not working here for some reason. So you can actually see the incredible flickering of the activity. And of course, the lungs are constantly purifying oxygen, which the planet allows us to take in. And then all this incredible processing goes on so that the lungs can retain the nutrients that are beneficial for human beings and expel those that are harmful. And of course, here's the heart, which is constantly beating and moving. And I don't know if you know this, but your lungs, if we unfolded them, they would be the size of half a tennis court. It's a huge amount of detail inside these two sacs, which we never think twice about, but really the lungs are a miracle. Also, the heart emits an electromagnetic field 60 times stronger than the brain. I think that's remarkable. We tend to gravitate towards the brain as the kind of master organ, but in fact, the heart is so much stronger than the brain. Also, you breathe as an adult between 20 and 24,000 times every 24 hours. Now, when I first heard that, I just couldn't believe that figure was correct, but it is, and I've researched it deeply. It is correct. And unless you have some kind of disorder or an accident or something, that happens every day without fail for 60, 70, 80, 90 years. Here in Japan, I live in Japan, and we've just identified a lady who is 116 years old, and she's still working. Yeah, she's still working. It's just amazing. So the breath is extraordinary, and if we consciously breathe, which my Lodestone will get you to do, the benefits to health are just amazing. The breath, if you consciously breathe, aligns everything, and it certainly recalibrates your compasses. So just a few facts there to get you excited. Now, on my in my Lodestone product, which I'm going to experiment with in a moment with you, I encourage you to breathe with three cyclical things. They happen throughout 30 days. And so day one is working on detecting vibrations. Day two is your breath. And day three is about your spine. And those cycle through with additions and so on as we generate the energy and the compasses start to reset. It's really important to breathe into the rib cage. Most people breathe here in the top part of the chest, very shallow. It's called clavicular breathing, and it's not good. It makes you dizzy, it gives you headaches. We have to get right down into the diaphragm, right down below the rib cage and into the rib cage. And we should allow your lungs to open. They should be opening like wings. And in fact, if you breathe consciously every single day, your lungs will grow. It expands the lungs. And so if you're getting on in years, we tend to, breathe weakly. But if you consciously breathe every day, your lungs will get bigger. It will eliminate things like emphysema and all sorts of breath problems that happen when you get older. So imagine that. You have the power to expand your lungs just by consciously breathing. So when you join my Lodestone, what happens first of all is that you go into a sanctuary. I call it a sanctuary. To share my screen here for a moment so I can show you how it works. Okay, let's see. Let me just take you inside. And this is what you find when you get inside. This is the sanctuary, and I give you a welcome video. And then you find your 30 audio sessions. They last between minutes each, and as rotate of course, they're each unique recordings I've made to guide you right through the 30 days. And if you stay with it for 30 days, you will experience an amazing transformation. It works from the inside out, and it's guided by me very kind of carefully through of this one as the breath. And hopefully, yes, here it is. So we start with some natural sounds. Before we begin, take a few moments to settle in and become as comfortable as possible. This practice can be done anywhere, at any time, but to experience its full effect, posture matters. Whether you're seated or standing, indoors or out, allow your spine to rise upright, as if each vertebra were being gently lifted toward the sky. If you're unable to sit or stand tall due to injury or illness, it's perfect. Okay, so that's just giving you a taste of it. As I say, it's a complete program, and so working your way through the whole thing will give you an amazing transformation. And actually the subtitle, the tagline is Glimpse Your True Nature. Through my spiritual background, I'm a Buddhist priest, I'm a meditation teacher, I'm a mindful educator. And what I've done through the years is really learn how to get below all the layers of conditioning. We are conditioned from the age of 5, maybe 4. And those conditionings really pile up in your spirit so that eventually you don't know who you are. You really don't know who you are. You've lost touch with your true nature, and you are just responding to the call of your society, your community, your family, etc. And so through my Buddhist trainings, I've really got in touch with my true nature a long time ago. So I am authentically me and truly happy because of that. But I meet so many people who are not. They don't know who they are. And if you ask them that question, who do you think you are? Who are you? They say, I've no idea. I've no idea who I am. If you ask me, I can tell you exactly who I am because I've really gone back in touch with that true nature that we have when we're children. Most children are so happy. They live so fully and so happy. They have no responsibilities often. And it's only when the conditioning sets in for gender, so the girls start to, set the table every night and help mother with all the, and the boys help father, and all of this kind of gender conditioning is, It really dampens down the true nature. I really feel that. Let me just go back a little bit into my presentation, move on a little bit further. So the heart, an amazing thing. It has its own brain. Yeah, a few more facts here. There are 40,000 sensory neurons in the heart. Maybe we think it's just a pump, a muscle and a pump. And of course, this image shows you how intricate it is. But in fact, there are 40,000 sensory neurons, nearly as many as in the brain. And the heart sends more to the brain than the other way around. The heart has superb feedback to the brain. But most people don't feel they're in touch with their heart in many ways. In Eastern medicine, I live in Japan and I'm a great fan of Eastern philosophy and so on. Then they say in Japan, all over the East, that the heart is the emperor. And of course, the emperor is a big deal in these ancient countries. So they really revere the emperor. And I've learned a lot about Chinese medicine, and certainly the heart responds to incredible natural substances and not to chemicals, which most heart medicine. In the West, we've about this cardiology, which really is about emotion and body wisdom, but it's not quite the same as the Eastern approach. And I find myself really every day here in Japan discovering something incredible about the way medicine works here. It's extraordinary. And yeah, here are your lungs. This is a model of lungs. This perhaps shows the incredible activity that's going on in your lungs all the time to purify the breath. And it's happening 24/7 for 90 years, maybe, if you live that long. And as I mentioned before, if you are a shallow breather and if you're susceptible to stress and you're disconnected and your compasses are not calibrated, then you'll be tending to breathe right up here in the top lobes of the lung. And down here, these will start to shrink. If we don't use the entire lungs, they start to shrink. And if you only breathe from the top, then you're really going to put a lot of stress on the processes there, which could cause breathing problems. Deep conscious breathing, present breathing, if you're present when you breathe with every breath, then you really will get in touch with things like intuition and your sense of being alive, your purpose in life. So my lodestone came from this quite desperate need to help people to get back in touch with their bodies functioning perfectly, because the human body is 100% evolved. It will not get any better. But the spirit lags far behind, and that's why the world is in such a mess, really, because our spirits don't keep up with our bodies. So, yes, if I was to ask you right now, and maybe I can ask Maria to do this, if you take one mindful breath now, so that means you inhale, and as you inhale through your nose, then your diaphragm will extend, and as you exhale, your diaphragm will contract. Now that's how the mechanism works. The diaphragm is the breathing muscle. So, Maria, will you do that? Shall we do it together? Shall we
Let's do it.
inhale together? Okay, here we go. And just hold your breath when it's really full, and then exhale very slowly. That's it. Now, how about your spine? Can you feel your spine? Yeah. Yeah. Because that's the other
Totally.
thing that people are not in touch with. But if you breathe consciously, two things happen. The first thing is you start to awaken to the fact that you are present here and now, and suddenly you feel your tower, your vertical tower of your spine, which is another extraordinary thing. And the breath, only conscious breathing will get you in touch with your spine. So if you're breathing very shallowly, your body is kind of amputated from your consciousness. So this kind of conscious breathing, honestly, it will totally change your life. And maybe you do it already, which is wonderful. And we'll talk to Maria in a moment and see what she thinks of this. The heart, going back to the heart, it is known as the temple of the body. And I wanted to show you my favorite Japanese temple. This is called Byodo-in. It's in Kyoto. Kyoto is where all the really fabulous temples are. And Japanese call this the heart temple. And of course, in Japan, we have the heart teachings. So every day we recite certain teachings of the heart. And yeah, the Upanishads, the Indian ancient texts, say at the center of the chest there is a shrine. I love this. The Upanishads are so wise. So yes, if you can feel that your heart at the center of your body is a shrine, this is wonderful. Thich Nhat Hanh, the great peace activist, Vietnamese Buddhist, said breath is the bridge between body and soul. Now imagine if you're breathing very shallowly and not consciously, how can your body and your soul actually connect? And maybe that's another way of saying true nature. Yeah, our true nature is when our body and our souls are truly connected. And then my hero, my brilliant Aboriginal hero, is called Sia Gina. And I met her when I was working with a group of Aborigines some years ago. And she said, the heart always knows before the mind does. And before the mind is even ready. So, focusing on your heart can only do good. Now, one other interesting thing, and Maria's here as a woman, so I just wanted to mention that women's hearts are a little bit smaller than men's hearts. Maybe you know. They beat a little bit faster. They've got more subtle symptoms if anything goes wrong. And menopause is a big thing, of course, for women. And there is a risk that women will experience some heart problems after the menopause. But women deal with emotions and the effects of the heart in a very different way to men. And I'm now preparing my second lodestone, which is I think it's going to be for women, so that we can really encourage women to do the miracles that they do as carers and nourishers, and so this is quite interesting thing. And when there, now I'd like to just mention Zinzino, and it's a shame my guests Fitz and Zoe are not here. I don't know why, but Zinzino is an amazing company. It works on blood tests, so there's no fluff. You do a blood test, it is analysed by experts, and then you know your levels. And then there are various oils they provide which balance and deal with the lungs in a very similar way to what I've just described, and the immune system. And this is really, Zinzino is where body meets science, and I'm so happy to partner with them because I'm very spiritual, and my background is in Alexander technique and body work, meditation. But now I've got the scientific backing with Zinzino. And this omega-3 balance oil is fantastic for balancing the heart and the lungs. So if you want to know more about Zinzino, just let me know. We're there. So yeah, I really encourage you to try Lodestone. I've had a little taste of it today. It's a full-on transformative program. It lasts 30 days. You can try 10 days at first to see how you get on with it. But I think you probably the 30 days. 30 days is so important to for any change. Any psychiatrist, psychologist will tell you that 30 days to break an addiction or to change a habit, yeah, you need that reinforcement. And yes, we are rewiring the brain. Yeah, and that's what Lodestone does. Helps you to rewire that hard wiring that's been there all your life, maybe through conditioning and through the desire human beings have to seek approval by conforming. Yeah. And journaling is really important, so I provide lots of journaling prompts, and writing with a pen is recommended because that connects with your heart. So the fingers write and the heart is connected. You can book a Zoom, see me anytime you like, and I will explain even more deeply and look at your particular case and see how it's going to help you. And I'm developing the Lodestone Circle. Lodestone, by the way, is a compass. As you probably know, it's the original compass because it's produced by the earth. It's a rock. And ancient navigators and desert dwellers and so on used a kind of chunk of this metallic rock, not metallic, magnetic rock that's full of magnetite crystals to find their way if, there was a sandstorm or no moon or stars to navigate by. And in fact, Australian Aborigines still use magnetite to find their way. It's very common in the South Australian desert. So, yeah, next week, just a brief introduction to next week, we're going to look at the third compass, and this is the solar plexus. So if we look at this image here, and this is deliberately a tuning fork, and I use tuning forks to help recalibrate inner compasses when I work with people, then we're going to be looking at this area here below the diaphragm and above the navel. And this is the center of gravity of your body. It's really important when you're standing and sitting to know where that center of gravity is. Yeah, and it's so true. Your body holds the map and your breath